Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty King Abdullah held separate meetings in the presence of His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein with Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono and Singapore's Law and Home Affairs Minister Kei Changmugam. The two ministers are taking part in a new round of Aqaba meetings to enhance global coordination and efforts in countering terrorism and extremism. On the sidelines of the meetings in Aqaba, the discussions covered bilateral ties, means to fight terrorism, as well as a number of regional issues. The current round of Aqaba meetings, co-chaired by Jordan and Japan, will deal with security challenges in Southeast Asia and build on the outcomes of previous meetings. The Aqaba meetings are part of a series of international meetings launched by His Majesty in 2015 to bolster security and military cooperation, coordination and exchange of expertise among regional and international partners to counter terrorism and its threat to global peace and security within a holistic approach. Senior security and political officials from Southeast Asian countries, international partners and representatives from the United Nations, the European Union and NATO are participating in the latest round of meetings. A 15-year-old Palestinian died of wounds sustained after Israeli troops shot him in the head yesterday during protests along the Gaza border. Hundreds gathered at the home of Azzam Awida in the southern town of Khan Yunis to attend the funeral. Israeli forces have killed 42 Palestinians since Gaza residents began staging protests along the border fence on March 30th. The demonstrators are pressing for a right of return for refugees. The Palestinians say Israel is using excessive force against their protesters, 2,000 of whom have been wounded by gunfire. To Syria, the Syrian army and its allies engaged in a fierce battle with Daesh terrorists in an enclave south of Damascus held by the terrorist group. The Syrian troops battled Daesh terrorists in the neighborhood of Al-Qadam and nearby southern areas. The Syrian forces are seeking to oust terrorists from the capital's southern doorstep, where government bombardment has intensified. Daesh overran Al-Qadam last month and has held parts of the adjacent district of Al-Hajj al-Aswad and the neighboring Palestinian refugee camp of Yarmouk since 2015. On the diplomatic front, meanwhile, the trilateral Moscow meeting on Syria and Astana peace process ended with the foreign ministers of Russia, Turkey and Iran issuing a joint statement. Sergei Lavrov, Mevlut Cavusoglu and Mohammad Javad Zarif underlined the commitment to Syria's independence, unity, territorial integrity and sovereignty within the framework of the UN Charter and called on countries of the world to respect the law. They agreed to continue their joint efforts to facilitate reaching a stable political settlement in Syria based on benefiting from the prospective drafted resolution 2254 on the UNSC and the mechanisms defined in the multi-layered format of Astana peace process.
We have always condemned the use of chemical weapons, regardless of the victims or culprits, but we do not believe that taking the law into somebody's own hands for political gains can do anything but further.
Tired of Wall Street and the headache that comes with it, an American lawyer turned to Lego and built a new life as an artist. Having already toured Sydney, London and Rome with varying themes, Nathan Sawaya's exhibition, The Art of the Brick, featuring superheroes, opens tomorrow in Paris. Sawaya used more than 2 million individual Lego bricks to create 120 life-size Lego sculptures, including Batman and Wonder Woman. The Flying Superman alone took 2 weeks to create. The 5.5-meter-long Batmobile, parked inside an intricately designed Batcave, was shaped with 500,000 bricks, the largest sculpture in the show. Barcelona captain Andres Iniesta announced in an emotional news conference that he is leaving the Catalan club at the end of the season after 16 trophy-filled years, pulling the strings at the heart of their midfield. He will sign for Chinese club Chongqing Dangdai Lifan next season. Iniesta spent all of his senior career at Barcelona and is their most decorated player ever, along Messi, having lifted 31 trophies, which hopefully will be 32 if Barca clinch the Spanish league tomorrow at Deportivo La Coruna. Tributes have flown in for the Spain international since his tearful press conference, including from Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane and defender Sergio Ramos. And finally, for a quick look at the weather. A slight rise in temperature is expected tomorrow, becoming around seasonal average and bringing pleasant conditions across the kingdom. Amman tomorrow can expect a high of 24 degrees Celsius and a low of 13 degrees. Further south in the Gulf of Aqaba, hot conditions are in the forecast, with daytime temperatures at 34 degrees, dropping down to 21 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tufkhan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.